Hello and welcome to a Bright Sessions anniversary live stream, this time focused on season 4. I'm Lauren Shippen. I'm the writer creator of the Bright Sessions and the voice of Sam, and I'm here today with two of my favorite actors in the world, and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. So in order of when you appear in the podcast, Charlie, do you want to go first?
Oh my god, I guess Damien does appear first. So
Yeah.
I'm Charlie Frail. I played Damien, and wow, what a blast from the past this whole experience is going to be.
I know. And Andrew.
I'm Andrew Nowak, and I was the voice of Mark. And ditto, yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Delving
mean,
in.
I was just saying to Charlie and Andrew before we hopped on that I was watching a Q&A that we did for our Patreon back in 2017, which if you're a supporter of Atypical Artists, you have access to all those old Patreon live streams. And it was, yeah, a live stream we did in 2017 directly after recording like the big like come to Jesus Mark and Damien episode in season 4 where they sort of have their big confrontation. And like I made the two of you record for 3 hours and then do a live stream. And it's just like me like giddy with joy at like what we had captured because I was so like blown away the first time I got the two of you together and sort of put Mark and Damien next to each other. What are your memories from sort of the very first recording session that the two of you had with each other? That sort of road trip episode in the beginning of season 3 after Damien had broken Mark out of the AM.
I'll go. My like dominating memory is more just like the vibe of ease. Like it felt like very fluid and very easy to kind of just like, even from our like first takes on that episode, it felt like very natural. I mean, Andrew's such a great scene partner and actor, and it felt like the characters right away would have some very, very interesting dynamics.
Well, I'm glad you felt at ease.
Did you not?
Well, I'm trying to remember number one, and I'm feeling kind of very much like I'm feeling right now, which was a little bit of like, I don't know, a little bit of nerves of like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I hope I'm doing everything okay. That's kind of just reflective of me in real life anyway, though. So, but I do remember going into it because this was already such a established phenomenon, and I was very honored to be like hopping in with the pros and the greats, and yeah, there was a bit of like nerves to it, kind of like right before you go on stage for something. However, as anytime I got to work with Charlie or any like with Lauren or Brigham or Julia, once you actually are in the thing, it was like a thing of getting to lock in and being like, oh, this is great. It felt feeling right. Like yeah, then the ease came in. Just kind of getting to that moment and being like, yeah, feeling safe once you're actually doing it and just like kind of like surfing through it and just like vibing with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel very much that way. We all met in acting class in North Hollywood, and I feel like class was always like that too, where it was like I would always be like very anxious, like doing the Meisner exercises and then doing the scenes, and then like especially when I got to act with the two of you or with any of the number of people that I then like stole from that acting class and put in the Bright Sessions, including Julia, including Brigham. Yeah, it just like it I think the fact that, we did record the entire show like in my bedroom in my West Hollywood apartment kept it like very like casual and hopefully like low key.
Oh, absolutely. If you had stuck us like towards the later seasons in like professional like studios to record that stuff, it would have lost a little certain something. Like
Yeah.
it
I
felt so, I don't know, it felt very relaxing, other than like waiting for like certain noise issues to resolve at times. That was the only big like anxiety spikes that I felt.
I did live across the street from a firehouse, which in retrospect was not like the best placement to do like at home recording, but we made
But
it
you
work.
made
We
it
made it
work.
work.
Yeah.
We did get through it. Yeah, the thing that I remember so like a bunch of people have asked through the years like about sort of the Mark and Damien relationship and about sort of the complexity of it and the twists and turns that it takes. Because I've said like it was never really my intention to like make this necessarily like a romantic pairing or like, make it unrequited love or whatever, make it a sort of complicated, not really platonic thing. Um, and it's because like I remember that first. Well, I mean, I guess the two of you recorded for the first time for the season 2 finale, but that was just sort of like quick scenes, right, in a much larger episode. But the first time we did that season 3 episode, I just remember like all of us stopping after the first take, which like all of the Bright Sisters episodes are basically these like long takes of one scene just continuously, and like we all looked at each other and we were like, huh. This has like a different like extra flavor to it than like that we weren't necessarily expecting, and that was something that like it's funny. I talked about this in the 2017 live stream too, with Damien and Wadsworth. That's something that the two of you would always do with anybody that I put you with. Is you always like found something unexpected. You always like took a dynamic with a character and like put some flavor on it that I didn't expect. And we have a question from Sienna that we got in advance that kind of relates to this that I'd love to get your thoughts on. So Sienna asks, both Damon and Mark have such interesting arcs, which affect how they interact with other characters within the series. Which relationships, platonic, romantic, familial, etc., over the course of the series did you all think were the most pivotal for the characters and why? And like, what were some of your favorite like pairings to record in?
Wait, we're the most what for the characters?
For most pivotal.
Most pivotal.
Well,
I mean, I think Damien and Mark for at least sitting with like Damien's arc. I feel like that was really important. I mean, Damien was not really fond of basically anyone, so to have that person of like. It, almost like this like confusion present within Damien that like makes him question his overarching worldview. I think that's pretty pivotal for Damien.
Totally.
I don't remember the episode. It might have been the last episode that they, but when Mark goes back to Damien's apartment and like, the confrontation and just has it all out. That's pivotal, yeah.
Yeah.
But Sienna meant the whole series, though.
Yeah, like, and I'm adding the like, yeah. What were some of your favorite sort of like dynamics or relationships to record as well?
I really did like recording with like one-on-ones with Julia, especially like some of those early episodes where, like at least from my perspective, like I didn't really know what the show was yet, and I just like I was very like,
I didn't either.
do my little thing, and there became like, oh, so Damien's like a dick and like really powerful, but also just like likes to flirt with everyone while being a dick. Like that was something that I did not intend to bring to the character, but as I was like sitting around with all my friends like reading through this stuff, it's just like, oh, it added that little bit of flavor of like that's like where my confidence lives as Damien. I'm just like, no one can fuck with me, so like why not just
flirt a little
bit.
I love that.
Damien did have that little bit of sass to it, yeah, which was Charlie did so great with all the time. That made you like frustratingly love Damien too. Like you're pissed off at what he was doing when I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, but you're still kind of drawn in.
Yeah. Which made it such a complex, interesting character.
It's like Scar from The Lion King being like a major diva.
Yes. Yes.
It's kind of comparable in that regard.
I love that
it
comparison.
Also helped that you wore the black mane when we recorded too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Always in the costumes. What about you, Andrew? What were some of your like favorite dynamics to record?
I mean, kind of a cop out, but yes. I mean, I really had for the Bright sessions recording with Charlie and with Julia. And we had a couple of like group scenes in your bedroom, which was nuts. But
cramming like 8
fun.
people in there.
Yeah. I remember the drunk kickback that Brayden and I had from that. That's the first thing that came to mind.
I love that.
Yeah, that was fun. But like, yeah, I mean, other than that, I really only had, and what a bad time that was. No, it was great. Like Julia and Charlie were the best. Again, just that like safety and knowing that I got to be able to come and play. And yeah, like, and I felt that those kind of nerves again too when recording with Julia, but like, they weren't I said like maybe something will go wrong. It's not like it was something that was going to go wrong. It was just important nerves. It was just like this felt very important every time I was like, this is very meaningful and means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to other people, a lot of other people. So for that reason, I have those nerves. But once I got to be there, actually working with Julia and Charlie, that was always just like, you know. So.
I also gave you a lot of, I mean, both of you, like a lot of like really like heavy stuff. Like, you know, there were lots of recording sessions where like, you know, the afterwards we just sort of would end up like sitting like on my floor or like on my couch and like talking about like whatever thing had been like brought up. And actually like a lot of like great ideas came out of that too. Like Charlie, you're the one who proposed that Damien be the one to break Mark out of the AM. Andrew, you were the one to yeah, you were.
Oh my goodness. I mean, yes, of course I remember that.
Like you, me, and Julia were like hanging out, shooting the shit after a recording session. And I was sort of, and you were asking about what I had planned for like the rest of the season. This was like in the beginning of season 2. And I was like, okay, we're going to get Mark out. And then you suggested that. And it was the same thing, Andrew, with, we got coffee between season 3 and 4, and you suggested that like Mark start to like really struggle with alcohol and like have that be part of his and like that was one of the things I really loved about making the show and working with the two of you, is like what you each would bring to the characters that felt totally unique, and like the level of investment that you had in the characters always felt like very, very special. So I'm very grateful to that.
This is beginning to be a big complimentary love fest, but it's just true. Like we had, I feel like we had a very special group of people, and we were all in that class. We were all exploring really vulnerable, honest, present techniques, and that carried over. You smartly noticed, and that carried over smartly to when we were doing recording sessions. Because yeah, that would. With Charlie, I remember just like the things we would discover, and just like sitting and staring at each other. You know, we're recording it, but like, yeah, you know, just even watching each other's brains work. I hope that carried over into recording. I think it did, and that was just so great and special, and I'm very thankful for that too.
Honestly, something as simple as like all of us having familiarity with like the repetition exercise in acting class and like mindset techniques and stuff. It like it's not like a shorthand that we like acknowledged or anything, but it was definitely present in terms of all of us having this like baseline understanding of how we can relate to one another as actors on an emotional level, like without ever really having to talk about it. Because we had all those experiences in acting class and that specific kind of training that let us more or less sit down with the scripts and not be overly invested in our preparations for like what we were going to do that day, but more like just exist and have the conversation and go through the scene and find what feels most authentic within that.
Because that was the work, was the like responding to things in the moment, which again is what I think we were learning how to do in class, and we were all comfortable doing that with each other. So
I don't know about you both, but like I maybe this is bad to say, I personally didn't like read the scripts very much before going into recording. Like I think at most I would read through it, like I got into the place where I was reading through it once before going and recording. I was like, read through it. I have a general sense of what's going on, but I'm not trying to give myself like planned line readings or anything. Just be comfortable with like the like umbrella view of what that episode is, and then just like go straight into recording. That's also only possible because of like the types of settings that we were recording in and the people we were recording alongside of.
Well, yeah, I think that like, I mean, yeah, I obviously read the scripts a lot before I recorded because I wrote them. But
I can't imagine.
That's something that a bunch of actors in the Bright Sessions would do, right? Is that they would sort of like read it once and then kind of come in fresh, because that is what we were doing in class every week. And I think that's such a good point from both of you, that like, yeah, the repetition exercise and the Meisner technique and sort of the being in the moment thing of that we were doing in acting class had such a carryover into the recording sessions. I think also probably the fact that we were just working together every single week, no matter what, and watching each other work every single week, right? Like Sunday nights, we were like in that studio for 3 hours, like watching each other work and doing cold read scenes, right? Because that's what the class was. And so that practice of like just being given a scene and a scene partner, and just like, I mean, that's really where writing the show in the first place came from, right? I was like, if there's one thing I know how to do that I do every week, it's like do a scene with 2 people. Like I know how that's supposed to sound. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for that. And it's something I really do like miss even in my current like writing practice, honestly, is like getting to just like watch actors work. I wish you could like go and like observe acting classes, you know? I don't think the actors would like it very much.
I miss it a lot too.
Yeah. Okay, we've got lots of questions to get through. So, and if anybody has questions that they want to ask in the chat, please do. Okay. Oh, this is sort of related to like, yeah, the, heaviness of what we'd be doing. It's for Charlie, from Aster. Did getting into character for Damien ever leave you in a bad mood afterwards? Your portrayal, especially in the Neon Darkness, is like Damien really wants the reader to feel his pain. And it's true. I mean, you really did a lot of heavy stuff. Did it ever leave you in a bad mood?
No. It was very much like, I don't know. It was so, even the super emotional moments, I don't know. I feel like I snap out of them pretty quickly after the fact. And like, even in terms of getting into them, it wasn't like a long process or anything. It was just like live in the moment of the scene. And some of those scenes were pretty rough that you wrote.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like I had a heavy assist from good writing, and it was pretty easy to pop in and pop out of the heavy stuff.
What about you, Andrew? Did it ever? I mean, and just in general in acting, like, do you ever have a hard time sort of like getting in and out of stuff? I think it's different for every actor.
Yeah, I think maybe like anytime that you get like a serious scene where it's supposed to be very dramatic or whatever, the natural thing is to be like, this has to be serious and I have to be good at being serious. I think that's something every actor probably struggles with. And again, in that period of time, I feel like I was getting a lot better at that and being able to let go of that, because that would just kill it. You it was like you were saying, Charlie, not coming in with prepared line reads because you think that's how it has to be, and it's just a natural thing of like a human being wanting to come into something being prepared. But it was a real lesson and a real exercise in letting go of that and being present, because the magic, the work, the product would come out in the moment. It's a really hard thing to do, to just like be present and let that happen. So the only thing I can think of like getting in a bad mood is like, yeah, just natural human insecurity of like, I hope this comes out as good as it read in my mind, kind of type of thing.
Yeah. Just the like literal performance anxiety, I think, like of just like wanting to do a good job. I mean, yeah, that's something that I feel all the time too.
But after, like, when scenes were over, no, not like same thing as Charlie. Like I was either like psyched or like I'm just happy from like doing the work, and even if it was really dark, sad stuff or whatever, it just felt good to do that. So yeah, for whatever reason, I was able to snap out of that too. It was not a whole bunch of like sadness or bad moods after that.
I think it really is about the people. It's like we always just were amongst friends.
And sorry to keep bringing it back to acting class, but it was essentially the same process as that of like, okay, you do heavy scenes in acting class, and then you're done, and then everyone claps, and everyone goes sits down, and you're just kind of like, okay, it's all done. Breathe it out.
Yeah, because like even if you feel like you don't do a good job, like you still like you just get to try again, you know, next week or whatever. I mean, like, you know, I know that like we've done theater and stuff too, and it's the same thing when you're doing like live theater, where it's like if you have a performance that's like off, it's like, well, tomorrow night's a new thing, and like, you know, just got to keep rolling forward, which I think is a good life lesson, honestly.
Yeah, and there's the like why we do art and is because we have this need to express something, and it feels good to express it, and so yeah, when you get to do that, when you get to do that art and like get that expression out to tap that emotion or stretch it or whatever, something in you like feels better.
It's a huge release. You know?
Yes, release, yes.
Yeah, total catharsis.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in the chat core asks, if Damien was somehow in the musical episode, how do you think that might have worked, and or what would you have wanted his part to be?
Wrapped.
And we also
Totally wrapped. I don't know.
Also, Paola asked a question in advance that is kind of related. And Paola says, every time I listen to season 4, I go and watch the table read for episode 50, which is available again to Atypical Artist supporters and is delightful. I just love the way you all interact. And then of course the way Julia reacts to Mark's song, which I'll explain in a second. And then Paola's question is, was everyone on board about singing, or were some of the actors not so keen? And was there ever a song for Damien? So first, to give a little bit of context about, the table read, we did do a table read for episode 50 for the musical episode. And everybody had learned their songs before. Everybody had been given the script, but nobody else had been given anyone else's song, because I wanted to watch Julia react in real time to Andrew singing that song to her. And it was glorious. Everybody was crying. Julia was losing it. It was amazing. And yeah, you can watch that entire like 40-minute video if you support Atypical Artists. And yeah, I mean, like, let's see. Damien was not gone by that point. Charlie, did I ever talk to you about the musical episode?
I don't know what we're talking about.
Incredible. Yeah, I don't think it was ever on the table. So like, well, yeah, I guess first, Andrew, when I brought it up to you, what was your reaction to the thought of singing?
This is wild in my brain, by the way. Sorry, continue. What was it like singing?
I mean, again, it's a lame answer, I feel like, but it's just the typical performance anxiety. Like, I can sing, I have sung. I'm not a, like, main trade singer or musical theater actor.
No, but you can sing. I've heard you sing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
you've
so
got a
I was
lovely voice.
Okay, like, let's do it. And I knew you were going to take care of me. You were going to, like, give me something I couldn't do. I think I was just more excited because I was like, oh, of course Lauren is making it a musical episode, and it's going to be amazing. Yeah, like, yes, absolutely, this should be a musical episode. And then learning about the device in which you were doing it with the dreams, and like, yeah. So
with the dream, hold on. What episode is this?
Charlie, I love it.
We got musicals. We got the dream. Of course, the dreams.
I'm trying to think. Like you may have moved by the time that we recorded this episode. Actually,
what year?
This would have been spring of 2018.
I was in Montreal.
You were in Montreal. That's why. Because I'm like, why wouldn't you have been at the listening party? But that's why. So okay, yeah. For those of
wait.
you,
what is this? You said this episode 50.
It's season 4, episode 10. Yeah, it was our 50th episode.
Season 4, episode 10. Oh, we're giving that a listen.
And yeah, I'm trying to remember what Damien's last episode was, but it would have been written and recorded before you left for Montreal, because we never recorded anything remotely for Damien. And I knew that Damien was going to be. Oh, actually, we may have done your very last appearance, your last scene with Chloe. That may have been remote, but definitely like the last scene that you had with Mark, that was recorded in person. I think like a couple weeks before you moved, whereas the musical episode was sort of like being finished in its writing at the same time. And then we recorded it sometime in like January, February, and then it came out in March of 2018. But yeah, it all takes place in Rose's dream.
The things in Charlie's brain.
Wow. When did we record A Neon Darkness, the book?
God, I don't know.
I don't even know where
that came out. That came out in 2020, so that would have been. And I was not involved in the recording of that at all because
that's probably like far like past this.
That was like I don't know where in the world you were at that point, honestly.
Oh yeah, because like, you're just like making this amazing show, and then just like randomly we're like, yeah, here's a book.
Here's a book. I was like, here's a read.
I was like, all right.
And then you also read all the letters in Some Faraway Place too, which
I read letters.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. We got a comment. I think about the final love letter in Some Faraway Place and Charlie's voice reading it like at least once a day. I think about that too, because that's actually one of the few bits of the audiobooks I've listened to. Because Macmillan, when they were first producing the audiobook for Infinite Noise, my first book, they were like, would you like, we normally don't offer this to authors necessarily, but because this is from an audio podcast, like, would you like to be involved in the recording? Like, you can sit in on sessions, you can sort of like help guide the actors. And I was like, you cannot pay me money to listen to this book being read out loud. So like, Charlie, I'm sure you did a gorgeous job with the Neon Darkness. I have not heard it.
I'm trying to think if I've heard it.
I mean, why would you? Like, why would you have listened?
Like,
because you read the book out loud. Like, you got the experience.
my memory of reading that book, honestly, just like my overarching memory is just being very, very hot. Because I had to make a makeshift booth with all the heavy blankets, and I didn't think about airflow in there. So I just think about like being in a hot blanket fort, sweating my ass off for like 20 hours. And
that sounds right. Yeah. Well, yeah, because this would have been that book came out in fall of 2020, so it probably would have been during quarantine and everything. Like, yeah, and then Safari Place was 2021, but yeah, in terms of Damon being a musical episode, obviously I never talked to Charlie about it. But I also I did think about it actually, because I did think about, Charlie, do you sing? I feel like I remember asking you if you sang, but I don't think I give you context for it necessarily. Do you sing? Are you a singer?
I can sing. I would describe myself similar to how Andrew described himself, of like,
yeah,
I have the capability to sing. That's not my thing, but I can sing.
I feel like I remember that. Yeah, and I thought about it. I thought about it a lot, and I just couldn't, because the whole thing is predicated on Rose being in proximity to everybody whose dream she's going into. I was like, well, Damien's not there. And then I think by the time it came for us to actually start recording, I think you were in Montreal, and I think I had the thought maybe that maybe Damien would appear in Mark's dream, but I was never really quite able to make it work. But in general, everybody was really down for the singing. The person who was like, I do not sing, you cannot make me, please don't make me, was Julia, which was fine, because I was like, I don't think that Dr. Wright would be singing in her dream anyway. I think, I think that that's going to work fine for what the episode is. So, but yeah, everybody had a really good time with it. And actually, Ian is a great singer, and I met him because I saw him in a production that Anna was in of Rocky Horror Show, and we added his song last minute just because I was like, it's crazy that Ian's not in this episode, or is in this episode not singing, and so I just wrote a reprise of Rose's song and had him sing that so we can get him in there. But I do wish that we could have gotten Damien in the mix and some other characters. I think that would have been very fun, but alas, we could only do so much in 30 minutes. Okay. My goodness, so much has happened in the chat. And, I love this. Someone stayed up all night waiting for the audiobook for Neon Darkness just to listen to Charlie read it. That's so good. I love that. And actually, we did have one. Oh, well, I mean, I guess I actually probably can just answer this question just from a timeline perspective. So Sienna also asked, how do you think the supplementary materials presented in the books in Neon Darkness and Some Faraway Place changed how you thought about Damien, and at what point did you all decide on these stories for him? So yeah, I mean, both of those things were written after Damien's arc had ended in the Bright Sessions. Obviously, like, I knew a degree to which, like, I knew a lot of the big sort of plot points of A Neon Darkness, and that I think informed some of the like little glimpses of backstory that we get of Damien. But Charlie, I don't think I ever told you any of that stuff.
No, and in fact, I vaguely remember talking about how, like, I didn't necessarily need all of it. Like,
yeah,
like, I don't know. We had such a good history up to that point anyway, of just like, you do all the hard work of figure out like all the backstory and motivation and things like that, and I just need to step in and like give truth to the motivation. That's really it. But there was I just remember there was so much more. There was so much more depth to the character by the time we got to Neon Darkness that I read through the book before I read the book, like for the audio of it. And it just struck me how like there are so many morsels of Damien that like I had never really thought of. And I actually put a lot of intention behind like, don't modify what I would do too much. So for artists, try to keep that same dynamic that we had before of just like go into it with a once over reading and just let the character come through you and trust that the writer's going to pick up all the slack, because it had historically, and it did in A Neon Darkness. And I think that it would have been a little overkill for me to try to guess your own intentions as the writer when I knew that me just existing as what I've been giving you for the past like couple of years would do the job and probably give you what you wanted.
Yeah. I mean, it really is like I mean, for both of these characters, and I mean, for all of the characters, it really is like this nice feedback loop where like, I mean, we talked on one of these other streams about how Julia showed up the first day of recording with like a binder full of all the scripts with all of her notes, and also an autobiography of Dr. Bright that I still to this day have never read. Julia's looking for it in like her old stuff.
Great for Julia. I was the complete opposite.
Right. Like, and it's like, of course Julia did that, right? Like, of course. And it's so perfect for Dr. Bright. And like,
yeah.
I think that it's like, it's illustrative of this same kind of thing, right? Where it's like Julia had this whole idea of who Dr. Bright was in the past, and then she played that a certain way based off her ideas. But we never discussed what her version of Dr. Bright in the past was versus my version of Dr. Bright in the past, right? It was just about like, what is, playing the motivation in the moment? Like, what is the truth of the emotional life of this character right now on the page? And how are you getting there? And then, at any point where, maybe an actor would read something in a way that I didn't expect. I mean, like, I think maybe a couple times I was like, oh, actually, can we try it this way? Because this is kind of the thing I'm going for. Or here's the information that you need. But more often than not, I was like, oh, okay. And so I think that like a lot of Damien's arc in A Neon Darkness, even if I had some of the sort of like biographical facts in my head when writing him at a certain point, I think that Charlie, the way that you approached that character then ended up informing a lot of who he was in A Neon Darkness. And then I think in terms of writing Damien's part of Some Faraway Place, I think actually writing A Neon Darkness at a similar time that we were wrapping up Damien's arc in the show sort of like made me want a sort of conclusion for Mark and Damien's arc, which is ultimately like what happens in Some Faraway Place. Like Damien sort of like actually finally admits to like his feelings, and he sort of writes these letters to Mark that he never sends, to spoil my own book. But I think that like that really was informed by the characters that you two are playing rather than like the characters that I had like imagined at the beginning, if that makes sense. Damien is also the only character to appear in all 3 books.
Really?
Yep.
No big deal.
Yeah, because In Neon Darkness is a prequel, and like technically, there's a little Dr. Bright bonus thing in the paperback. I think it's just in the paperback in A Neon Darkness. But yeah, I mean, because A Neon Darkness is a prequel,
right? Like,
yeah. that it's that yeah, he's the only one that shows up in all of them.
I do remember being very excited about how like going into Neon Darkness, it felt like an evolution of the character, but because it was a prequel, he's so young, and you're like seeing him become the terrible, terrible person that he is, and it was just giving such voice and space to small little things that we had talked about like what makes Damien who he is, which mainly is just a lot of pain and not being seen by the world. But it was really interesting to go back to like, okay, before any of the other characters even are a thing, this is what Damien's world was, and that was fun to explore. Not really even just like experience, as like even when I was recording it and reading back through, that was only like the second, maybe third time I read the book. So
yeah,
still just a lot of moments in the recording where I'm still catching up to what's actually happening. That's really, really rewarding experience.
All of that.
Did you, and I hope I'm not spoiling anything or revealing secrets, but did you say you wanted to kill Damien in the first season?
Yeah, well, not the first season. So yeah, actually, and there is a question about this. I'm just gonna look at my spreadsheet really quickly to see. I feel like maybe somebody asked this, but oh yeah, okay. Maddie asks, for Lauren, I know you've said that Damien falling in love with Mark wasn't part of your original plan, which is fascinating to me given how much of his later plot and character development is so tied to that aspect of him. What was your original plan for Damien's plotline and character arc throughout the show before you decided to expand so much on Damien and Mark's relationship? Kill him. Yeah, so I was actually talking about this on my Tumblr the other day because somebody asked something that or I saw a post something. And yeah, so at the end of season 3, when Damien tries to, kidnap Adam and threaten Wadsworth, and that whole mess happens, and then Caleb beats up Damien pretty badly.
If Caleb had killed me in that moment,
so that was the original plan.
Just that was friggin' me, kill me. Oh.
And like that, I think so. There were a couple of factors as to why that didn't happen, but I don't know if you two remember this. But it's like so funny. I have such a vivid memory of it. We were all at my apartment in my living room. I think we were just like, I think maybe we did a table read or something for that finale. And I had everybody, except for you, Charlie, because you were unconscious, or, Damien was unconscious. I had everybody vote in character on what they think we should do with Damien. Because it was this question of like, do we take him to the AM or do we try to take care of him here? And I don't know if either of you remember doing this, or yeah, Charlie, you would have been a witness to it. Okay, so Andrew, you were the only one to vote to keep him at the house and not take him to the AM. Because that is what Mark
everyone else like, get rid of Damien.
Get him out of here. But if everybody else had voted to keep Damien would have died, right? Because it's like they were not equipped to take care of him in that moment. And so the fact that everybody actually voted to bring him to the AM did save him. But I did that because I was kind of curious to see what all of the actors thought. But also I sort of had a suspicion of how people would vote based off the characters, and everybody did vote exactly the way that I expected them to. Because like as much as I thought it would be interesting to have Damien die in that way, I didn't want to not be working with you anymore, Charlie. And like also I think for Caleb that would have been like would have created a very, very different arc for that character. And the show had already gotten and was headed like darker and darker in a lot of ways at that point. And I was like, Caleb is like in many ways the one bright spot a lot of time. Like I can't have him become somebody responsible for manslaughter. So that did not end up happening. And then it sort of became a blank palette in season 4 to explore what Damien could be. And ultimately at that point, I think I was just having such a good time watching the two of you act that I was just like, we'll just do this. Like it was really just like me like taking my two favorite actors and being like, okay, like can I play with my action figures?
I wonder if there ever would have been an opportunity to follow the thought of having, like, putting Mark in a situation where Mark would have had to kill Damien. That would have been pretty brutal.
That would have been really interesting.
But, you know, just keep continuing taking take the show that was just superheroes going to therapy and turn it into just like the most miserable dark.
Just so dark. I mean, as Sophie points out, that's what AO3 is for. Absolutely. I don't know if there's an AO. I mean, there's definitely a lot of AO3 fics of Mark and Damien, but I don't know that there's any in which Mark kills Damien. That's an interesting thing to explore for sure.
Charlie is a tragedy lover, I see. Okay, hey. I think that Damien is a tragedy. Like, Damien is a quintessential tragedy. Damien's not like running off at the end of this saga and like having a wedding and running off and being happy. Like,
yeah,
Damien's done too much bad shit.
Well, and man, this is, I don't want to get too dark with it, but like, yeah, I mean, like Andrew,
Tell us more. Go ahead.
After we had like wrapped, like after I'd written sort of Damien's final appearance in season 4, I knew that we were never going to hear from him again sort of from that point. And we do hear your voice in season 7, but it's in a flashback, right? It's like we get a little like flashback in the college tapes of Mark and Damien. So that's like the last time we hear your voice as Damien. But I knew I didn't want to necessarily like know what he was up to after the show, and I stand by that. But I think in my imagining of where Damien would have gone in like the decade following, you know, the end of the Bright Sessions, I think I had a very dark perception of where he would have ended up. And interestingly, yeah, like the relationship between the two of you and exploring that and sort of closing that arc in Some Faraway Place, I was like, he is a tragedy, but I actually think that he's gonna make it. Like he's gonna
hit rock bottom now. There's a rock bottom thing out there for him.
There is, yeah. But like I do think that sort of him falling in love with Mark like didn't redeem him, but it at least like put him on a path in which he could redeem himself, which like I don't know necessarily that that's what I expected going into like writing season 4, if that makes sense. There are a couple of questions about the relationship of these 3 characters. Jamie asks, this is a question I asked during the last live stream, so excuse me for being repetitive, with Sam and Mark not ending up together planned from the beginning. And then someone in Cora asks in advance, on this most recent listen, I noticed a lot more similarities between Sam and Damien, especially in some of their conversations with Mark. How was it to have characters who are so different in narrative role, but so similar in some dynamics in terms of writing and acting? I'm really curious to hear your opinions on this, because no, Sam and Mark not ending up together was not planned. And Sam and Damien being sort of mirrors of each other was also not planned. And I don't know entirely what happened there. Like, I think at a certain point, like by the time I was writing season 4, the Sam and Damien parallels did become conscious. And there are some lines that are like direct references to each other that they both say that like are, you know, sort of meant to show that they are approaching their relationship with Mark in similarly toxic ways. But I think I expected Sam and Mark to work it out, and they didn't. And I think that is because I never really got Sam to a place where she was ready for that. And I think that probably says more about my own views on myself than it does anything else. Not to like, you know, armchair therapize myself, but like, yeah, it's something I've thought about a lot in years since. And Andrew, I don't know your perspective sort of on the Sam and Mark of it all, and then not ending up together versus the possibility that they could.
Again, boring answer. It was kind of just like accepting this is where the story is going. I mean, thinking about it now, I'm just like, I'm glad I wasn't writing it, because God, that fucking hard to
Yeah.
to decide on, like, such decision and analysis paralysis. Like, I don't envy you having to decide the fates of these characters one way or another. I mean, other than the fact that if it were me, yeah, I would have probably done that too, because I love a tragedy too, and that's just always better drama. That's such a weird thing that, like, we aren't satisfied with, like, happy endings sometimes.
Yeah.
Or just endings in general. Like, we expect them to be such a thing, and it's like, it just ends sometimes. And I don't know. Like, what story in general does anybody have where it's like, perfect ending? Wouldn't change a thing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I think for me, the place that I wanted to leave every character in the Bright sessions when we sort of like last heard from them, whether that was in season 4 or season 6 or season 7, was like for them to have the possibility of being happy in the future and being okay in the future, right? Like I didn't want to leave anybody completely in the doldrums, but like in thinking about, it's been 10 years and then thinking about kind of like, okay, where are these characters now? And having thoughts about that I do think that Sam is kind of the most difficult for me in a lot of ways because like Rebecca says, Lauren said in a stream once that Damien is what happens when you take the self-loathing and direct it outwards, and Sam is what happens when you direct it inwards. And I think about that a lot.
Oh my god!
And I do think that that's true.
Good... Oh, I like that. That's so good.
I think it's true, and I think that like there's also I mean people are talking about this in the chat, like there's a lot of each of these 3 characters has a really unique relationship to control, and I think that they all don't have a healthy relationship with control, which again probably says more about me than it does anything else. And I think that that's why like it's hard for me to make any one pairing of these 3 characters work, is because like they are sort of directly in opposition to each other when it comes to what they want to control and how they want to go about getting that control. And I think that makes it really hard. Like I think Sam just has so much more growth to do, and Mark does too, before she could really be in like a super healthy relationship. But I also don't really know what that, I don't know. Yeah, Sam is a weird character for me because it's like I was so inside her for so long, and now it's been so long since I was there, and I'm a different person than I was, and so it's like it's weird when you're like writing a character that you're also playing that like is also kind of based on your own experience.
I mean,
like,
yeah, it's gotta feel like you've imbued so much of your past self into that character.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I think in the course of writing and mapping out Neon Darkness and sort of finishing up Damien's arc, I think and doing a lot of the parallels between Damien and Sam, I think I also had the realization of like, okay, there's always some of you in every character, right? But I think that there was a lot more of me in Damien than I had initially expected, which is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know, what the happy version of any of these characters being together would be. So it's interesting to think about. Well, then of course Mark has another relationship that we never planned to be romantic, that then sort of became that with Oliver in the later seasons. Because like Charlie, Christian Brune, who plays Oliver, also is incredibly just like charismatic with everybody, and Andrew, you're charismatic with everybody that you're in a scene with, and so you put those 2 people together, whether it's the 2 of you or Andrew and Christian, and it's like, well, I don't know, I guess these characters are into each other now. Like I don't know. I just do what my actors tell me to do subconsciously.
it's like they're talking about like ordering bread at the bakery. Why does it sound like they want to like get with each other?
Right, like why are they flirting? Yeah, I mean Oliver is another, and I'm hoping to get you and Christian on a stream at some point to talk about those 2 seasons, because that's another character that it's like similar to Damien, like I had a specific image in my head of what that character was going to be, and then the actor got a hold of the character, and it was like, okay, this is something else now. This is gonna be interesting, which is one of my favorite things about working on scripts in particular versus like books, right? Because it's like you get that feedback loop of the actors bringing something to the table that you didn't expect.
And you also, I feel like you must have also had the audience feedback loop being quite present.
Yeah.
Or did you not feel that as much?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think I've had a complex relationship with that over the years because it's very weird when people, well, and yeah, I mean, I'm curious too, if you guys have anything that sort of sticks out in your mind around like, fan things that you saw throughout the years or interactions you had, because it's like, it's both very exciting and very terrifying to have people engaging with your work in like a real way. And also, like, I was always very conscious of the fact of like, I can't let what the audience wants or thinks influence what I'm writing, right? Because like that's just like a trap. But yeah, I mean, like, well, and actually, somebody asked Charlie. Laura asked for Charlie. Firstly, have you seen any fan headcanons about Damien being trans? And secondly, do you have any thoughts or feelings about it? And expanding that more generally to like, yeah, fan headcanons or interactions that you've had throughout the years that have like, stood out.
So I have not interacted with many fan headcanons. I think my developing personal headcanon post like doing Neon Darkness and all that, I think Damien's closeted trans woman. I think
Excellent. I love it.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. I think that's where that's at.
I love that. Maybe that's why Damien's been so unhappy all these years, is because, hasn't been living as the person that Damien should be living as. I don't know.
Can't relate at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not really on the internet at all, Charlie.
I do tend to be like, I'm more of a lurker on the internet, and like a lot of things that I end up taking part in, I'm not as big of a consumer over. So a lot of the fan talk and like shipping of things and theories and headcanons, and they kind of went over my head as we were going through the years.
Yeah. What about you, Andrew? Anything stick out?
Oh, well,
Okay, I'm so curious where this is gonna go.
Well, when Charlie said over my head, I was like, oh gosh, yeah, a lot of that. I mean, the fact that I was when like, do you remember how when you like had to tell me that Mark was bi, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
I think that was like the season 3 wrap party or something, or the premiere party or something.
I genuinely feel really bad about that, but yeah. Like,
no, I wouldn't.
I mean, yeah, it's such a lame, like, I feel like it's a lame response, but like, it was just so much more it was so interesting to just watch what people took from it and see what they made of it. I mean, yes, all of the shipping and fanfic like between Mark and Damien, like, yeah, I remember the times when you had to tell me about that. They're like, you understand there's like some spicy content out there, and I was like, what? No, this is great. What? Tell me more. Because that was, I mean, I'm not dissimilar to Charlie. Like, that's not a part of the internet I know very well either. But I just so grateful and thankful that it's there. Like, I'm so happy that people have that and could take what we were doing and make that their own thing. I don't know. I'm just very grateful for that.
Well, neither of you ever came to any convention, right? We never. Yeah. So yeah.
There were conventions.
They took this baby on the road, didn't you know?
No, we did. We did 2. No, I guess we did 3. Two conventions really. With when Julia and Brigham came with me to Emerald City Comic Con. I think maybe Anna was there too. I can't exactly remember the configuration because all of these were in Seattle for some reason. Because it was Emerald City Comic Con and then PodCon a little bit later. And then like those are some of the fan reactions that like really stick out to me, right? Because it's like getting to meet people in person is like really exciting. But yeah, I mean, I honestly like this is what I want from my actors, I think, is like a not being aware of all the stuff, because I do want you to just like be in the moment and not be thinking about like other, input or anything like that. And I also, yeah, I mean, like I was always very clear with actors that, like, once you're wrapped, once your arc is done, you can go and read fan fiction if you want to, but you cannot before then, because like I didn't want it influencing you, right? And I actually still haven't read any Bright Sessions fanfic, but I found out last stream. Oh God, we had a bunch of people on the stream, but I'm pretty sure it was Julia. That Julia read fanfic during recording of the show.
I became aware of that one.
I was like, Julia, you're not allowed to do that. But yeah, I'm also very, very grateful for just all of the things that people have brought to the characters throughout the years and to the story throughout the years, and the fact that it's made so much, creativity through so many different mediums. I mean, right now I'm wearing a bunch of bracelets that a fan sent to me for various Bright Sessions and atypical things. And I have a bunch of fan art on my wall and things like that. And it's just like, it's very, very special. So, yeah, I love all headcanons, and all of it is true. It's like, I think like once the thing is out there, it's no longer mine. I don't get to say what's canon anymore. And that's one of the things I love about sharing art.
Oh my God. I want to see if I still have this that you gave like forever ago. Hold on.
I'm so curious what this is going to be.
Yeah, wait, in suspense, yeah.
I bet I am missing. I feel like I've ducked into the Bright Sessions tag and like looked at what people are writing about, but I have not read any.
So you gave us these. I forget at what milestone you gave us these, but
I think this was the rap party.
So this is we got little, get the glare off there. Little audio waveforms of like certain lines.
Yeah.
What line did I pick for you?
We're both caught up in this tangled web, Dr. V. Time to figure out who's the spider and who's the fly.
That's right. Yeah. I don't remember what I picked for you either, Andrew. And I do not make it myself, actually.
I do. It was, I think we're going to be okay.
Oh!
Yeah. Because that was, I think that's his last line to Dr. Bright. I mean, within the story.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, because this was the season 4.
Screw you. And yeah, like.
This was the season 4 rap party, I think, that I gave. Well, which Charlie, I think, yeah, you would have been in Montreal. So I think
No, they were there.
You were there? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wait, were you back in this was July of 2018.
Because you gave us those at a bar in like Eagle Rock or in
like Frogtown or something. Yeah.
I remember Charlie being there. So
okay. Wait, yes, no, I think you were. And yeah, I remember just in terms of fans, saying nice things through the years. I did like gather you all around at one point and read out a bunch of nice emails that I'd gotten through the years of just like, really personal things that people had sent through and impacts that we made on people's lives and stuff, which is really nice.
I did a production of 12th Night at a theater company in Los Angeles, and after one of the shows one time, a young man came up to me and said like, hey, I just wanted to share that I'm a huge Bright Sessions fan, and Caleb and Adam's story like helped me come out to my parents, and that show meant a whole lot to me. And yeah, I was just like, oh my God, like broke down, gave him a hug, and like, so that was the best. So yeah, all those kinds of things, the best.
Yeah.
I remember Bright Sessions people started to find me as I was documenting my transition journey on TikTok. So like fans of the Bright Sessions would find me and be like, "Oh my God, it's Damien!"
Oh my God, I love that.
And then they'd like start following me on there, and I don't know, that was always really special.
Well, I've told you about all the emails I got from lesbians through the years, right? Have I told you about this?
And I'll tell you what, the lesbians still love my voice.
Well, so like I think this is like one of the first things that I maybe told you after you caught me up on everything, because I was like, I've gotten so many emails from lesbians through the years saying how much they love your voice, and it's like the lesbians knew, right? Like the lesbians knew the whole time that they were listening to a hot woman.
Wish they would have told me.
And I just like it's so I just like I love that because it's for so many years I found it like so baffling, and they found it baffling too, and then it was like this all makes sense. Yeah, so it just all comes back around. The lesbians knew.
The lesbians always know, everyone.
They always know. Always listen to the lesbians. Okay, I know that we are coming to the end of our time here. I'm sorry that I didn't get to everybody's question in that they sent in advance, and also in the chat. The chat was moving very, very quickly. I will be doing, I haven't like officially announced this yet, but I'm going to be doing like a sort of like a long stream on Halloween, like a couple of hours, where I'm just going to kind of like sit on a stream and like answer people's questions and kind of hang out, because November 1st is our official anniversary. And so I'm going to do it until like midnight Eastern time. And so, you know, if either of you want to drop in for that later on, those of you watching, bookmark your calendars for Halloween afternoon, evening. But yeah, I mean, in terms of wrapping up here, do either of you have anything you want to like guide people toward, stuff you're working on, stuff that's going to be coming out, anything at all?
If y'all want to go listen to The Lost City Prince, that's a podcast that I worked on during COVID as well, and it means a whole lot to me. It was a modern adaptation of The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and yeah, it was we kind of got to make it like into a musical too, and I was very much inspired by Lauren's work with that. And yeah, that's on Spotify, and you can go check that out. That story just means a lot to me. I think it's a really great story, and a lot of cool music on there too. So
it's really great.
I'm really proud of you for that one. That was a really great project.
Yeah, Charlie's in that too, actually, too.
Am I really? Yeah. Wait, what?
Briefly, you voiced like a very like small bit part for me and saved me for that. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah.
I knew that. I remembered that. Wow, crazy.
What about you, Charlie? Anything you're working on you want to share with folks?
Nothing immediately coming out. I had Paddington 3 come out earlier this year, and Snow White, which it was also a movie. But that's on like the visual effects side of things. And then I left my last studio gig for visual effects and animation back in March, and I've actually tapped Briggan to be a producer for a 3D animated kids show that I'm working on right now. So that's a little fun thing that'll be up and coming. I gave myself through the end of the year to deliver the pilot, and then Briggan and I will put our heads together on next steps from there. But that's very exciting. It's about 5 cute little animated children dragons who help solve problems around their community of Dragon Valley with the help of their elder dragon mentor, Professor Scales.
So cute. I love it so much. Oh, that is awesome. And yeah, like, Atypical Artists, lots of different shows on there to listen to, including New Year's Day, which we do with Andrew and Briggan once a year. There's 4 episodes out. I need to start working on the script for the fall.
Back half of the year.
We got to record that in like 3 months. And yeah, I'll have a new show coming out in September, I think. So stay tuned on that. And we also have some Bright Sessions merch in the store right now that's pretty cool, including we're going to have some very cool merch coming up, including a Bright Sessions compendium that has like basically everything about the Bright Sessions show Bible, character facts, playlists, etc. That is going to be sent to the printer soon. And then also we're doing a vinyl for the musical episode, which I am very excited about.
Not only is there a musical episode, there's vinyl.
There's going to be a vinyl, and it's going to be extremely limited edition. So yeah, just like if you're not signed up for Atypical's mailing list, like just go to atypicalartist.co and do that. But thank you both so much for doing this. It was just so delightful to hang out with you for an hour. Thank you everybody for watching. Yeah, we'll be doing another one of these next month, and then the month after that, and then in October we'll be doing that longer stream. So definitely tune in for those and go follow both of these lovely people on the internet and consume their amazing art. And, as always, just stay strange.